Hey everyone, I'm going to do a quick little update and some topics that I wanted to discuss. And it's actually early right now. I've got to go to work in just a little bit. Anyway, let's talk about. Okay, so in my life currently, I am kind of enjoying myself. I've been. Ooh, with the little dog jumping up. Say hello, hello. Anyway, I have been incredibly busy with two jobs and they've been going very, very well. I am currently in the process of contacting, I'm getting everything together to get my insurance to pay for my breast augmentation. So hopefully I can have those in the wintertime or even sooner. We'll see how much insurance covers it. I'm very lucky to work at a business that has such good insurance. It's a lot of privilege. So we'll see how that goes. There might actually be someone local. I have to go and have a interview with her and talk to her about. I just have to feel her out and see if she supports transgender people. It's one of those things where lots of people just do it because they can get money out of it. But to be honest, I need someone who supports the community and the whole identity and whatnot. Supportive, and especially if I'm giving money to someone. Anyway. So and I've been bouncing around and kind of hanging out with different people and enjoying myself. So lately has been interesting. So I ended up going to, I feel like I went to my doctor to do my endocrinology, and I actually think my estrogen was pretty low. I think my testosterone might finally be coming back. My libido is definitely back, we'll put it that way. And all that stuff. And I'm trying to see, I'm actually not taking my testosterone now, just to see if like my body will actually make its own, if that makes sense, like start to produce its own instead of having to actually take it. Anyway, so that would be very interesting. So, the topic that I kind of want to discuss is actually going into surgery and going into different things like this. And there's some of the things I've really learned. Of course, many of y'all know that I was very, what is it, standoffish with the non binary community because I believe you have to have gender dysphoria. And there's a lot of non binary people that take estrogen or they take testosterone and then they get side effects that are a very, cis women kind of side effects or a cis man side effects, and then they don't necessarily like it. And so, because there is I believe there's a difference when you're medically transitioning and just identifying as non-binary. But that's the thing. The thing is, like, I could have my views, I could have my opinions. I'm from a different generation. I'm almost 40 years old, and so I have like different views and opinions, and there's a lot of young people that are just discovering themselves, figuring out who they are, what they want, and non-binary is a very accessible path to go down. And some people transition like I have, and then they end up like I'm trying to do is actually accept my masculinity more. And try and become more comfortable with my body, which has actually really helped my gender dysphoria. So instead of fighting the masculinities I have, um, I'm actually kind of embracing them and trying to work with them and see if I could turn it into something I could be very comfortable with my body. And that is very much. I think we all have to do that regardless. Like, you could go in and get every surgery possible, but there is a point when you realize that it doesn't matter what you get done, what surgeries you have, it's not going to make your friends, your family, your lovers, or anyone accept you any differently, like from being a woman or not being a woman, whatever it is. It's they're never actually going to accept you. And I think that was the hardest lesson I've had to learn over the years, is that people probably will never really see me as a cis woman. Like, I'm never going to be a cis woman, and I'm very proud to be trans, and I love my body. But see, that's where the issue lies, is that we have a lot of people that go in and they get all this stuff done, and they think that suddenly, they're going to be able to like date, straight, men and straight cis men. And the straight cis men don't even want them because they actually, the reason why they can't accept themselves for being attracted to trans women, which is what they're going to view you as forever, is because they can't accept themselves. Like, they have such an issue accepting themselves, being attracted to trans women, and it doesn't matter what surgery you're going to have done. It's not going to change that. It's not going to change them. What happens is it's the way you view yourself. So there's certain things like I would love to have my breasts done. I think with the more muscle I've gained, I feel like it would balance me out. It just makes sense. And there are certain bottom lines. Like I cannot, do this. I cannot do that. Body hair was absolutely my gender dysphoria. I mean, any body hair would just trigger me so much. And so I had it removed. So there's specific things you can do to remove those things. And everybody's dysphoria is different. Every single person has a different puzzle piece that they have to put together and figure out if that's what they want to do. And so you can't say, oh, well, you should do this, you should do that. So there are people feel like, oh, well, this is what trans people do, this is what they do. And I was actually discussing with so they go and they check off the whole list, and by the time they get to the end of the list, they're still not satisfied, and now they've done all of these things, and they're like, well, what the hell's going on? And a lot of those people end up blaming the trans community. They blame therapists for not, I guess, not doing a good enough job at figuring out who they are, and then they start to think that the transition was a bad idea. And so what happens is, I think taking your time with whatever it is that you're doing to your body is the most important thing. You have to figure out who you are. Are those specific things really a gender dysphoria or just an insecurity that every woman suffers from? So it's very important to know yourself. And what the scary part about that is that 5 years ago, I was completely different from the way I am now. So when you put yourself in concrete at one point in time, saying, this is who I am, this is what I identify as, and this is the way it is going to be forever, it's really not a thing, because the only thing permanent in this world is change. So you kind of have to accept it. And I've been learning that lesson the hard way. I mean, for 10 years of my transition, I wore sundresses, I was very feminine, and I would only go on dates with men that I wouldn't even necessarily tell them that I was trans. I would just go on dates with them and then let them know, or I'd text them later and just tell them. And it was one of those things where I would have loved to have had that, what is it, the simplicity of just living my life that way. But as trans people, that's not really a thing. We're not going to have that simplicity. So we learn to adapt, and we learn to deal with what it is that we're going through. And so as the years have gone on, I've changed. I work out. I'm sure most of you all see. And everyone's like, oh, is she detransitioning? Now she's taking testosterone. And I've explained that that's not what I'm doing. But it's also the thing that keeps you young, and the thing that keeps you vibrant and beautiful and all of that is questioning things. It's all about questioning yourself. It's not like I'm here to teach everyone a lesson. I'm simply talking about things that I'm dealing with at that current stage of my life. And a year ago, 2 years ago, I watched videos that I did, and I'm appalled by some of my views. I'm like, man, what a bitch. So it's important to understand, and it's okay to have that humility and know that maybe you were wrong, and it's okay to grow from that. And actually, it's a really good thing because that's the normal path that we're supposed to go down. But what concerns me is when people really go like so far, so fast with transitioning that they end up making mistakes. I see a lot of girls, getting so many surgeries and multiple this and multiple that, and they lose. Okay, so you're switching the key factors of masculinity and replacing them with this obvious surgery. And so then people start to think, wow, she's got a lot going on with her, like there's a lot going on. And it's true, like a lot of surgery, and being trans, gender dysphoria is a lot in here. It's not, I would say when I was talking to my endocrinologist recently, that there is such a, because, back in the day, they would be like, trans people need Spiro, they need to get their SRS, they need to get their tits done, they need to do this, they need to get facial feminization. They had this thing that in concrete, now they're happy, now it's done. And now we're starting to find out that that's not really the case, that there's a lot of people that are not fully satisfied. There's a lot of people that it didn't fix their dysphoria. It may have actually created more problems than it solved. And so you have this thing where I think that we are learning that every single individual has a harmonious balance that needs to be in place. Like, for example, I need a little bit of testosterone. I also like having a bit of muscle, but like I love having great skin, and I love having no body hair. And for another individual, that may not be the thing. Like, there's just specific things that each individual needs tailored to their specific self. So there's no individual on YouTube or online or any trans person that's done anything or written any books or whatever that can say that there's one specific box that you have to be into. Because if you really think about it, that's what got us in this place to begin with. They told us, oh, you just have to be a boy. You just have to like play sports. You just have to do this. You have to go karate lessons and all of that stuff. And it just like there was I was like when I was a kid, those are some examples of some of the things I had to do, and it caused me a lot of problems because I was like, that's not what I want to do. Like there's other things I want to do. I want to do ballet, shit like that. And now I wouldn't even think about that. I probably kind of want to do karate now. So it's interesting at how we can change all the time. And so I believe that if you do things that are permanent, you have to be aware of what you're doing, and that some of them, they cannot be reversed, they cannot be changed. This is what you're going to get. And so it's very important to move through life almost like water, like flow with what was it from the Dune, the movie? What did they say? You can't change the course of it. You have to, go with the flow of it. It's, yeah. And also we have that like sense of dissatisfaction. We transition, we go through so much pain. We're looking good one day, the next day we don't feel good. We go through so many years of struggle, and we think to ourselves, okay, well, now I've reached this point that I feel like I've reached a point in my fitness routine where I'm like, shit, this is kind of where I wanted to get to. Now it's just balancing between being lean and being bulky and going back and forth. But it's not like I look at pictures of myself, I'm like, I've reached the goal that I wanted to reach. So what's next? Like, what do I do next with my body? What is the next gender dysphoria or any kind of dysphoria or insecurity that I'm going to go through? And so it's quite fascinating. So it's important to keep yourself malleable. That's the word, malleable. Because if you put yourself into a situation where things are irreversible and you're stuck, it can cause a lot of pain, a lot of suffering. Because now you're going to expect the world to respect you for those specific things. You're going to expect people to accept you. And to be honest, the best step honestly, the best thing and the biggest lesson I learned after 10 years of transitioning is that I just expect absolutely no one to accept me. It sounds sad, it sounds bitter, but it's probably just the blatant truth. Like, most people are never going to see me as a woman. Doesn't matter how beautiful I am, doesn't matter if I have a pussy, if I don't have a pussy, doesn't matter if I have great big tits, it is irrelevant. People, if they know that you're transgender, and most of the time they do, there's always going to be small factors. There's going to be something on the internet. There's going to be some kind of past, some kind of job, someone you know. And trying to control all of that, what is it, like, compartmentalizing and controlling all those factors. When one of them collapses, it's traumatizing. Like, I mean, recently, well, I'll probably say like a year ago, I had a letter in the mail that was in my dead name. And I was like shocked. I was like, what the? I sent it back. I was like, it was like evidently, because I had my name changed and everything, but some companies, some places just don't pick up on that. And so they just enter a letter in the mail. And I was like horrified. I was like, who the fuck's that? We're sending that letter back. So it's one of those things where you cannot control what life is going to throw at you. So it's keeping yourself malleable to handle the situation. And that's not just a trans thing. That's everything. That's just life in general. That's just living your life. But when you expect other people to accept you for who you are, it's a really awful path. I did it for a long time. And the worst part was when I found out that most people that I thought were into it, like allies and stuff like that, people who were supposed to support us, ended up becoming the worst because they are only in it for themselves. Like, the majority of allies that are like, how can I be a better ally? It's about them. It has nothing to do with you. They want to feel that they are a part of something, that they are open-minded, that they're supportive. But when it comes down to like the bare bones of the thing, subconsciously, they don't accept you for what you identify as. They just say they do because they want you to like them. And in turn, a lot of trans people get all of this stuff done, all of these things done to themselves because they want other people to like them. Like, I did my makeup this morning because I want people to look at me and go, wow, look how beautiful she is. And sometimes you just don't fucking get that. Like, a lot of times people are like, look how big ass her jaw looks, or how big, listen how deep her voice is. You cannot expect happiness to come from other people. It's a very difficult thing to learn. I learned it. It's been a hard path, and I think maybe that's just me getting older. Anyway, so I thought that would be a very good topic. I'm actually going to head into work now. I'm probably going to do some more live streaming. We finished Stray the other day, so I hope everyone enjoyed that. And if you have any questions or comments or anything you want to discuss or other videos that you want to talk about, just let me know and we'll make them. Y'all have a great day now. Bye-bye.